A lot of times people, especially us, we just do things to say that we're doing it. Or we're just trying to get on the bandwagon because everybody has a podcast. Oh, people tell me that I should start a podcast. Sometimes people ain't told you that. Sometimes you just be using that to make it
do what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. People sometimes will ask in an interview like, oh, who's your competition? Me. I'm my competition. We collaborate with Revolt. We've been on iHeart and they've said, for Black content, like, this is where you need to go. Charlamagne just got, $200 million contract? Stop limiting yourself. Stop just looking at what your podcast is as a lead generator for your business or just to connect with a larger audience. Think bigger. This is the year of what you've been working on. It's the year that all of those different things, if you are very strategic and you understand this is what I am going to achieve this year, you will achieve it.
What up, though, Black Fridays family? Welcome back to another installment of the Black Fridays podcast. Before we get into today's episode, I need you to hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, share some videos with family, friends, and loved ones. All right, now that we got that business out of the way, I got someone in the building today who is groundbreaking and history making. The first Black woman ever to have their own podcast network, and that's just the beginning of it. Over 25 years of experience in the media industry, including being an award-winning producer, also a entrepreneur, tech founder, and author, speaker, you name it, she's done it. Miss Angel Livas, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for pulling up to the Black Fridays podcast. And we got a super special edition of the episode because you are homegrown in Michigan. You happen to be in town. And so we was able to sneak this in. So definitely appreciate that.
Yes, of course. Thank you for inviting me. I was like, oh my God, this makes total sense. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So with the extensive resume and history that you have in the media industry that I had mentioned during the intro, would love to know if for you, what do you feel like is that thing that lights your fire? Like, what keeps you going despite being able to have so many different accomplishments and so many different things that you've been able to touch in this space and or create on your own?
I would say it's whenever I have conversations with storytellers, creators, and they're like, thank you for creating this space for us. I think that is one of the huge driving factors around being able to keep going, because adversity is going to come. You're going to be told no. You're going to have all of these roadblocks that come in the way. But when the reason why you're doing something is recognized, and it doesn't have to be recognized by the millions and, everybody mainstream, but the people who feel like they don't always have a voice to be recognized, or a space where people care about what they have to say or what they're feeling or what they want to express. And there's this ecosystem that exists for them, that is what really keeps it this is why I'm doing it.
And I know that that's a big reason of why you created the Alive Podcast Network. And so in terms of that mission, at what point in your career did you feel like that became very apparent to you, whether like early on, like college, high school, or whether it later on or throughout the progression of your career?
So I don't want to sound vain, because I'm really not, okay? But I remember my senior project, and I went to Harrison, and we had to do something relevant that we would want to do in life, right? And I was like, okay, I want to be a news reporter. And I remember we had an assembly where a local news anchor came, and we were all sitting there and we were having a conversation. And this is after we had presented our high school graduation projects. And my friends were like, okay, news anchor, kind of, maybe, sort of. And I was like, well, whatever it is, people will know my name. And so that was always something that was really important to me. I don't want to leave this earth with nobody knowing I was here. I don't want to leave this earth without having some type of impact beyond my immediate family. I want it to be able to impact others and help them share their story and help them feel like, I did something too, and I'm not leaving this earth without my name being known as well. So, does that answer it?
It does, yeah. in terms of the Alive Podcast Network, because podcasting is relatively new and in terms of how it's structured and how things are ordered, I don't think everyone has a firm understanding of like what an actual network is. So could you break down what is a podcast network from your definition, and then also intro us to Alive?
Okay, so I'm going to even take a step back further of what a podcast is.
Yeah, there we go.
Because I feel like most people think that a podcast is the video side of things, like, or is just the conversation. A podcast is originally like the audio form of interviews, conversations. And so when I first got into podcasting, like even when I was in college, I loved audio. I loved audio because it required you to think a little bit more. It required you to use your imagination, which I think we lack at drastically in today's world. And so for me to be able to craft a story that touches you and it makes it relatable, it makes you laugh, it makes you think, it makes you cry just from audio, that's power, right? I think when you have video elements, it makes it a little bit more interesting, right? But you also have other factors that are able to play into that storytelling. You have motion that may be happening. You have things, you know, on the walls that you might read that could be a distraction, but other times it's aiding in, and we don't realize it, it's helping and tell the story, right? So from the podcasting perspective, for me, part of the reason why I wanted to get into podcasting was it was a new era of communication, a new medium, right, for storytelling. And so I always felt like we were behind the 8 ball, right? So in 2020, I created Tamar Braxton's podcast, Under Construction. And one thing that would always kind of stand out, we would post little clips on Instagram and people would be like, oh my God, where can I listen to the full episode? Now in the clip, it'll say on all of your favorite podcasting platforms, right? Apple, Spotify, we would name all of them. And people would still ask like, but where? And so it became very evident to me that we are always the last to join the party, to understand like, okay, this is what a podcast is. This is where you can listen to them. Now, again, this isn't today. This is like 5-6 years ago. And so, and I feel like it's the same thing with AI, but that's not what you asked me. I'm going to stick to this. And so it became something where I wanted to educate us. I didn't want it, which is part of the network, getting to that part of it. I wanted to educate us on how do you do this? What's the right way to do it? How do you leverage your community to monetize your content? I wanted to create an opportunity where it wasn't just the storytelling, because we can tell a good story. Like Black people, like that's part of our culture, right? We can tell a good story, but what we lack is the education of like, well, how do we put it all together? How do we monetize this and make it into a consistent revenue stream, right? And so a network, there are all different types of networks, right? There are some networks where it's just like a collective of creatives that are a part of one space where it's all distributed through one company, right? There's other networks where, you know, you have to have so many listeners to be a part of that network. They're able to monetize off of you, right? And then there's typically like a rev share in how ads are placed and things like that. So every network is different. Like there's no network that's really constructed the same. A lot of the mainstream ones have a lot of the similar characteristics, but all networks are very different. When building the Alive Podcast Network, for me, the thing that was really important were 3 things. 1, making sure that our Black content creators maintained ownership of their content. 2 was helping them monetize their content where it wasn't the top 3% are always getting all of the money and everybody else is just creating content just to say that they're on a network, right? So that was really key. I wanted to level the playing field where everybody has an opportunity to generate revenue. And then thirdly was amplification. A lot of times when you're creating content, you're creating it for your specific network. And so sometimes it can be hard for other people to find you. And so we wanted to create a space where it's an ecosystem. You're a part of the network. There's a show that's similar. Let's cross promote your show on that show, right? Let's promote it through our network. We also distribute through press releases. We highlight our creators, give them opportunities to speak beyond the mic, right? And putting them on major stages, things like that. So it's creating a space where it's not just for a live. It's creating a space where you're no longer an independent creative, but now you're a part of a collective of like-minded individuals that you can work together and amplify what your messaging is through one another.
And as you were building out this platform, you had the podcast with Tamar, and then you also had your own shows on the platform as well. But in addition to that, how did you build out the roster of people that you felt like would be good for the platform, and how did that come together?
So very different than most other places. I didn't want it to be, I just want all of the heavy hitters. I didn't want it to just be all of the celebrities, right? I wanted to create a space where all Black voices meant something, because I believe that if there's something that you're talking about, unless you just have like this niche hobby that don't nobody else care about, which I have conversations with every host that's part of the network, right? One, for me to get a feel for really, why are you doing this? And is it something that you're genuinely passionate about? Or is this just like some just to make yourself feel good? Like, I don't want the latter. I want the people who really have a message that they want to share. They may not know how to construct it, right? They may not know all of the journalistic things to make this like a popular show, but that's where we come in, right? And so for me, it was very much like, just give people a chance, right? Like, everybody starts from some point. And I think when you put parameters on people and say, oh, well, you have to be at 10 million followers, or, 10,000 listeners or subscribers before you can be a part of the network, that's limiting so many people.
Yeah.
Because they may have a dynamic message, but nobody's taught them, going back to the education piece, of how do you construct this where it can be great. Nobody's told them, like, hey, listen to like 10 different podcasts that are doing really well, and figure out, what are they doing? What styles relate and resonate with you that maybe you can emulate and turn it into your own vibe. If nobody's told you some different things to do to help you win, then nobody's really trying to like make sure that you're in a position to be structured and set up for success. And so for me, that was one thing that was really important too. Like, no, I don't want to limit us, because I think that's part of our problem. Everybody thinks so small of us, and it keeps us here. But like, what if we just open the playing field, stop gatekeeping, and give the information to empower people to like expand what is possible for them? For sure.
And with that model, what are some of the successes that you've been able to see? Like, if it's a show that comes to mind where it's like, given those constricting parameters, network might have not looked at them, but when they joined it live, like they took off and saw success.
Yeah. So there's one show that I can think of, just because recently she posted her number, like her metrics. It's healing through conversation. Sorry. And that particular show, y'all, he didn't I don't know these questions ahead of time. So, and we have over 100 shows on this network. Okay. But Healing Through Conversations, that particular show, she posted her metrics, and it was a smaller show when she got started. She said that, I think it was like her growth has been like 333%. The time that people have been listening has expanded, like literally everything. And these are not through Alive giving her these metrics. These were her metrics from Spotify, right? And so that's the other thing about us. Like, we're not like, oh, you can only distribute your content through us. If I say I want you to amplify and I want more people to hear you, you need to be everywhere, right? And then, structuring how you're doing things on different platforms, that's a different conversation, but making sure you have that visibility. And so like for her, like she's just grown exponentially. Like we've opened up our television side. She's also on like the television side of the network as well. So when you have the opportunity to expand your territory beyond a YouTube or just like, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, all of those, and you're able to be in an ecosystem where it's all Black hosted shows, right? Then people are like, oh, well, let me tap in. Let me see what else. Like, if I'm liking you, I'm sure there's something else here for me.
Yeah. And I forget, the only term I can think of is like cross-pollination, where you get the effect of, I like this show, but, I also am interested in this. Yes. And then that show is similar. Like, okay, well, I want to switch it up a little bit. I can go over here.
Yes. And so that's like, getting a little techie. From our technology that we built, like we built our proprietary app that's an iOS and Android.
Yep.
Like we use machine learning to be able to like, oh, if you like this show, here's a recommendation for a show that you may also enjoy.
Very dope. So I have plenty of more questions for you, but before we get into those, I want to introduce you to my favorite part of Black Fridays, which is Freestyle Fridays.
Okay.
So since you're back home, you're going to have to give us some bars. I don't know if you want to sing, rap,
What?
poetry.
The lies.
So,
What's the name of my show? The Devil is a Lie. Oh, Lord. Okay.
They say you had a freestyle ready for us. I'm
Who
waiting.
said that? The lies.
The people.
A freestyle.
Or you could just do rapid fire, which is what Freestyle Fridays actually is. It's just rapid fire questions, so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Let's do it.
All right.
I can sing, but I cannot rap, okay?
So you've had some pretty significant and big moments throughout your career in media. And so I'm wondering, I don't know if you're the type of person that listens to music to hype you up or calm you down, but if so, what would you say would be a song that you would play before a big moment that you would have?
Oh, I have a couple. I not know how to say her name, but Closer. Is it Guapale?
Yep.
Okay. That one, like, it always just gets me ready because I never feel like I'm anywhere, like I'm there. And that one's just like a constant reminder of like every step that you take, every stage that you step onto is getting you closer to your dreams. So that's one for me.
That song be almost making me want to cry. So I
Really?
got to sporadically listen to it. As I get older, I get more sensitive. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. You be reflecting on where you came from. It be getting the best of me. So
He's like, that's not my hype song.
Yeah, I got to listen to the Drake version. That one a little bit more mild. Yeah. So do you have a favorite piece of technology?
Favorite piece of technology. Okay. So I'm not sure if this is my favorite as of yet, but I'm excited to really dive in. I got the new Meta glasses with the wristband.
Yeah. Okay, dope.
And so, you know, I've tested them out a little bit with the Meta display, I think is what they're called.
Yep.
So I'm excited to like really like tap into those, and, you know, not have to pull my phone out and just, you know, use my hand to do all the little things. So yeah. That, for right now, for what I know, I would say is probably one of my favorite.
Keep me posted on how that goes because I don't think I'm there yet as far as the Apple Vision Pro and then the Meta glasses where you can do the stuff on the screen. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I want to know your experience when you get done with them. Yeah,
like so far, like I said, like I've tested it a little bit. I just got them for Christmas, so it's still new.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted.
For sure. And then if your phone can only do one of these three functions and no other function, would you prefer that only call out, video call, or text message?
Ooh. Text. I am definitely a texter.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, because sometimes, like, I don't want to talk. And I love to talk, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like, you know how, like, you can be in a great mood and you're focused, and then, like, somebody just calls and disturbs your peace? Yeah. Like, just text me.
Right.
And it's gotten to the point where my friends will text and be like, can you talk?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Especially if you're in a zone. Because then you're like, I can't pick up the phone. I'm going to be all thrown. Ain't nothing getting done after that.
Exactly. So text.
For sure. Do you have a book that you're reading right now that you want to share with folks or in recent memory?
Well, the Evan Carmichael, I didn't just read that one, but I did just get a new book, but I do not remember the name of it, so don't get me to lying. But I am very excited to read Mel Robbins' book, Let Them. So, yeah. Okay.
And then 2 more questions for you. Who is the GOAT podcaster, in your opinion?
Nope, I can't do that.
You can't?
Nope. Can't do it. I'm going to have to plead the fifth.
Fair enough. And, well, I'll ask you a different version. Do you have a favorite?
No, I can't do favorites.
Why not?
I own a network. I cannot be out here like, oh, this is my favorite right here. And the rest of my podcast was like, well, what am I? No.
Fair enough. If you say so. I forgot my other one. So we're going to wrap up Freestyle Fridays. Oh, no, forget that. You back home, you in Michigan. Coney Island, how familiar are you?
I love Coney Island.
All right, so what's your Coney order?
Okay. Fat girl. Like, oh my God. Like a whole fat girl. So like my favorite are the chili fries.
Yep.
Oh, fat girl. Chili cheese fries. Oh my God. And I did not have them this time because I'm trying to stay somewhat on track.
Right. Gotta stay locked in.
Yes. And the burger with the chili.
Oh, you get the chili burger? Mm-hmm. I ain't had one of them in I don't know how long.
Me either. Hence why I did not go to Coney Island this trip. Yes, but that's my order. And I love water, so I'm big on water. Okay,
good. Nothing too crazy. Because, they be having the Kool-Aid and all types of stuff.
That's fattening enough. I'm good. But them chili cheese fries, oh my God.
Every time, get you every time. I might have to get some before at some point in time.
You got to eat with the fork.
Right, right.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you for partaking in Freestyle Fridays and engaging in the randomness. And so would love to, one thing I would love to get out of this conversation for the folks listening and watching it is being able to help them level up their podcast game in 2026. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I've been adamant about is being able to help podcasters who are newer in their journey or possibly looking to differentiate, scale, whatever the case may be, take their platforms to a different level. And so I get a chance to teach people how to start their shows and how to do so with minimal equipment, things like that. Mm-hmm. But one thing that you mentioned, part of the reason why you started a live, is that us as creators, especially in the Black community, we don't necessarily have the business what's the word
acumen.
I'm looking at? Yeah, acumen, in order to be able to structure the platform so that we can be able to scale up and get to the bag, essentially, which is why a lot of people do it. But before I get into that more detailed conversation, I first want to start with, I've had this conversation with other podcasters on here before and in private, but do you think everyone should have a podcast and or have a microphone to be able to voice their opinion?
Sorry, I didn't let you finish.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But that's the question. Should everyone podcast?
No. I think that, again, part of the reason why I hold conversations with every potential host that is interested in joining a live is so I can understand the why, right? If you just trying to follow the trend, no. Like, if you genuinely feel like you have something to talk and that you can add to community, yes. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you have knowledge that is not readily available to community, should you start one? Yes. If you think that you have really great and interesting conversations with your friends and it's things that you guys are sharing, that there are some people who don't have people that they can have real conversations with, and it's unfortunate, but it's the reality. Yep. And so again, it's the same thing with starting a business. And no, everybody should not start a business because everybody is not equipped to handle that responsibility. And it's the same thing with a podcast. Like, you have to be consistent. Yeah. You have to know why you're doing what it is that you're doing. If it's to shoot the breeze with your homies, like, that's cool because you're bringing, whether it's like y'all have great dynamics, whether it's somebody that is going to relate and remind somebody of one of their homegirls or their homeboys, and that's why they're listening. Like, it just has to be a why. And I think a lot of times people, especially us, we just do things to say that we're doing it. Or we're just trying to get on the bandwagon because everybody has a podcast. Oh, people tell me that I should start a podcast. Sometimes people ain't told you that. Sometimes you just be using that to make it
do what you want to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? But like, have a reason why your podcast exists. Have an understanding of how that podcast can really influence and help people. If you're just doing it just to say, no. So, yeah, that's my final answer.
And do you think that, what do you feel like hinders people who are passionate about podcasting and or the thing that they may be expert in? What hinders them from either starting or continuing going? Because I think the statistics are, if you essentially make it between 3 and 6 episodes, I forget which one it is, then or past that, then you basically in the majority of podcasters, because that people stop at like episode 3 because they realize how much work going to it. I ain't really feeling this. Yeah. This is stupid, or I ain't got time. They keep it pushing. But for those who actually are interested, passionate about whatever it is that they have, what's hindering us from getting started?
It's a couple things. One, the fear that you're going to be found out that you really have no idea what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, unless you study journalism or you were in mass comm or something, you really don't know what you're doing.
Right.
That's the reality, right? Like, I actually studied journalism. Mm-hmm. So, like, I understand, like this is what I've been doing, mm-hmm. right? So, but what I've seen is that a lot of people that probably should have a podcast, they're afraid because they say it's an oversaturated market, mm-hmm. without really understanding. Just because people have a podcast doesn't mean that they should, which was to your earlier question.
Yeah.
But then they also are potentially perfectionists. Mm-hmm. And so when they go in, they want everything to be perfect. They want to know that they're doing it right. Mm-hmm. And going back to what I said earlier in our conversation, the ecosystem hasn't existed where they feel as though they can be educated with, how do I start a podcast? What is the right equipment? And so mm-hmm. they're constantly asking AI or Googling, what do I need? What do I do? But then they have no validation of, mm-hmm. This is all you need. This is what you need to do. Keep going. And for the people who start and stop, they probably ain't had no listeners. Mm. And so they're like, well, why am I doing this? As long as it took me to record, as long as it took me to edit, I really didn't have any idea what I was doing in the first place. I ain't got no business doing this. So they stop. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just having that guidance. Like, you got it. Like, yes, that's all you need. And yeah, it's going to take a minute to build up your numbers if this isn't what you've been doing. But then it's also, do you have somebody that you can brainstorm ideas with? How do you market it to the right clientele? Which goes back to the why. Right. Why are you creating it and who are you creating it for? Mm-hmm. If you can identify those things, then you can say, okay, I know how to market it. Mm-hmm. But if you're just doing it to shoot the breeze, you don't know who you're creating this content for.
Exactly. And I hate and I understand, because you don't know what you don't know, but when I talk to certain people and they're like, well, I want to talk to everybody. That's not how this works. You're not going to be able to talk to everybody. I don't care what you do. If you promoting yourself, whether it's personal brand, a business, anything that you are trying to sell, quote unquote, to someone or market to someone, you're not talking to everybody. It's a specific group of people that you need, or a specific group of people that resonates with your messaging, especially if essential to you or coming from you. And I think that's something that a lot of folks get misconstrued.
Yeah. I mean, and even whether you're starting a business, whether you're writing a book, I'm a little bit of a nerd. So I like education, right? Mm. So before I do things, even if I know I could probably do it by myself, sometimes I'll just take a class, just to be okay, let me just make sure.
Right.
But even in business, and I've done accelerators, I've done Techstars, I've done Babson, I've done all types of things. Mm-hmm. Everybody says even in podcasting, have an avatar. Create that ideal person that you're talking to. It doesn't even have to be a group of people. Give that person a name that you're speaking to. Give them a career path. Give them they're a single mother. Whatever that person is that you feel like when you sit down to the mic, that's who you're speaking to. Create that. So in your head, you have an ideal listener, right? And so when you have that one ideal listener, there are many that is going to fall into that bucket.
Yeah.
And so just being that specific, being that targeted, it makes a difference. Your podcast, it tells you exactly who this is for in the name. That is specific. That is having a niche market. So it's very clear who you are targeting with your content. Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing that is definitely missing with a lot of podcasters.
And do you feel like you have to be in love with the game, at least to a certain extent, to truly stick out having a podcast? Because you mentioned consistency. Yeah. And so I do this show. It comes out weekly. This is my first year. So this will air in the new year. But in 2025 was my first year doing 52 episodes, like having an episode come out every week, like taking no breaks or no weeks off. But I've been podcasting for 5 years. So do you feel like that there has to be a love of the game if you're going to actually if you're going to be able to scale this and make it what you want it to be, or get out of it what you want? Because I remember not doing all the editing, bunch of interviews, and getting like 5 downloads, and like that's not the case anymore. And Black Friday International podcast, listen to it, but like but because I enjoyed it, I like editing to a certain extent. It can be daunting, but I like having interviews, having conversations like this. So I'm talking too much, but do you feel like people need to have a love of the game if they're going to be successful in this space?
That's with anything. When you're doing things and it feels like work, 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna make it. That's the truth of the matter, right? However, do the parts of it that you do love. If the only thing that you like doing is the recording, see if you can barter or hire somebody to do the parts that you don't enjoy. One thing that I felt like you asked me earlier, but I don't think we got to answer it, was like something that helps podcasters, like when they feel like that they may not know, like especially for like new podcasters. Yep. And this kind of like goes to that, because if you don't know what tools are out there that can help you, or you don't know what tricks are out there. When I had, so I had started Larry King's radio show a long time ago when he left CNN. And one of the things that I did like for his show, like if we were having guests or whatever, and I like carried this with everything that I did, I would create a calendar system. So you know how like Calendly's really big. I've never really used it, but there are other tools out there. And what you do is, like, instead of me trying to call people and be like, hey, what day is going to work for you? Like, I don't have time for that. Like, I have all these other things to do. Link. Yeah. So I would send them a letter. Like, this is what our show is about. Would love to have you as a guest. If you're interested, click this link and schedule your time. You can put in the calendar, these days, these times are my record days. That way it's structured. Like, everybody is like trying to do on the whim, like, oh, we can do this. How? Yeah. That's not sustainable, right? So with my system, and this is like my freebie for everybody, like, you can do forms. In your form, you get all of their information. What's a question that you would want? Like your freestyle. Like, hey, it may be this, it may be that. Like, so everybody is clear on what you're walking into. You can get their bio, you can get their headshot, create promotional flyers, like whatever you need. So you're not going back and forth. You look polished when you are going after guests, especially if you're looking at trying to get celebrities as guests. Nobody's trying to go back and forth with you.
Yeah, right, exactly.
They don't.
Exactly.
People's time is important. So being able to like come to the table like, boom, I'm ready to go. I'm polished. Like, here's my email structured. That way you don't have to change it every time. Like, you're just changing, you have your template. You're changing their name. You're changing what the topic is that you're potentially interested in speaking to them about. And your link is there. And your calendar is preset. If you're only recording on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 6, like, okay, boom, pick your time in that slot. And I'm a burster, right? So I like to do multiple interviews at a time. Okay. So, like, if you know that every week is very different,
just batch it.
Just batch record your stuff. That way you know you're never at a deficit where you're like, oh man, I gotta hurry up and get something recorded. So.
Would you deem yourself a creative?
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you have the business acumen, you got the accolades to go with it, like being a professional and like doing traditional media, radio, television, those things. And then also, podcasting is more of a creative space, but becoming more professionalized. But, I was curious because, some people like, no, like I'm business, but not necessarily as creative.
I'm a creative to my core. And honestly, like, not to get like all like spiritual, but I think we're all creatives. God was a creative. Yeah. And inside of each and every one of us, that is what exists. We just have to tap into like, what are we supposed to be creating? What is it that we're supposed to bring to life? And so at the root of everything that I do is that creative element.
For sure. So talk to me about what it's like being the What's like being the owner of a podcast network? Like, what does your day-to-day look like? How does it feel? Like, tell us all the things.
Never the same. It's very much, it's a blessing. Like, certain days I take different like meetings with prospective guests and prospective hosts. Certain days are just like all finance days where, you're going over numbers, you're having conversations with like your team, all that. Every day is different, and I think one of the beauties of being a creative is that nothing is ever like the same. I might start and say, okay, this is how we're going to do December. Mm-hmm. Halfway through December, I'd be like, I want to add this. I want to do this. And my poor team, they're great. Like, they just rock with it. Like, okay, we're shifting the direction. We're still going to do some of those elements, but we got to change. Yeah. But I think being flexible is key. You can't just go into anything and say, okay, this is the way it's going to be, and just be so hard on this is what it is that you have no flexibility, right? You have to look at your analytics. You have to review okay, well, what did really well and why? Is this a topic that people are really into? If it is, let's revisit it. People don't take enough time to not just be creative, but to take assessment. And because when you take assessment of what's working and what's not, that gives you your path forward. And so, with me, it's a lot of okay, I can go in this direction, but I've had to learn that I can't just go in this direction like this. Because that was me. I was very much I'd have an idea. The website will be up by the end of the week. I was oh, it's going to get done. Yeah. Right? But now it's taking assessment, taking time to say, okay, what's the best path to roll this out? What's the best way to execute to make sure that it has the best amplification and it has the best story to really drive home the messaging? So, yeah.
And it's not always easy finding people to rock with you in this journey, especially when you have a vision like yours and being able to actually bring that into fruition. So how was it for you being able to build out a team and find people to help you in this journey?
I think it depends on what side of the journey, right? So you got the tech side of it. You got the business side of it. You have the investor side of it. You have the creator side of it. And then you have the management side of it. So each side was very different and each side looks very different, right? Because you have some people who are yeah, that doesn't exist. Why would you do it that way? Because that's the way it came to me and that's the way we're going to do it. And then there are some people who are just yes people, which I don't like yes people. I want you to challenge me, but I also want you to come with evidence of why you're challenging what the initial thing is, right? And so, of course, there's a lot of people who just wants to be a part of a bandwagon and they don't really want to carry their weight. And that's unfortunate. And learning how to let people go quickly is really important. I am definitely the type of person, if I invest in you through teaching you, I'm really rooting for you. Right. And sometimes I'll drag it out longer than necessary. But that's something you gotta, they say, hire slow, fire fast. So
who are the folks that have poured into you along the way that's been helpful or monumental to your journey?
Oh, I have so many. My family. My first investor was my parents. I had teachers that were with me from high school that still rock with me. I was at lunch the other day around the corner from here with one that see the vision and they support it however they can. I have one that's I'll volunteer 3 hours a week starting in January. We have a apparel line. They'll go on the site and they'll purchase a live thing. So whatever they can do to support the work that we're doing, I think is key. I think for Angel, the support, like mentors, like I have people who look like me, don't look like me, like that mentor me. And I think it's key that you don't just look for people who understand you, but can also bring in insights from other cultures, other things that you may have no idea what that experience and their life experience is, because it can aid and guide you into like new opportunities.
For sure. And back on the creative side of things, I'm curious, because you have so much experience with media and then also obviously in the podcasting space, what makes a good podcast? Like what would you say is the recipe that you've seen that makes a compelling show that people want to engage with and listen to?
Okay. I have a few different things. Like I don't think it's one formula. I think different shows based on what the show is about and the personality of the host.
Okay.
Because personality of the host matters.
For
okay.
Sure.
So I love sound design. I think that sound design and music adds to the flavor of moving a story along, moving a conversation along. Is it necessary? No, but it adds flavor. I also enjoy like just a clean podcast, like clean audio. You probably know this, but I'm shocked by how many people are out here recording and their audio sounds like trash.
Sound like they're underwater. I've unfortunately had a few episodes like that, but they still had to get put out. But yes, I understand.
Okay, but if that happens and it's because of a tech malfunction,
right,
tell your audience.
Yeah.
And so for me, again, like I'm very big on transparency. Like if I've been listening to your podcast and I know it doesn't typically sound that way, like tell me, like I know, look, y'all, this gonna sound a little different, but it still had to come out, okay?
Right.
But tell me, like, let me in on the joke. Let me in on what happened. Because clearly I'm listening to it still, right? But you don't want to leave people wondering, right? But there are some people who it's a consistent, like, they just don't know any better. No one told them this isn't what it's supposed to sound like. And I've had conversations with some hosts like, yo, I really like your content, but we gonna have to have some conversations about your audio, right? Sometimes we gotta have some conversations about your editing. Like, cause a lot of people, if you haven't been trained on it and you're just using a tool that's doing the editing for you and it's clipping pieces of your words and you don't know what it is, you're just like, oh, I sent it through and you posting it.
Right.
That's the educating, you know? So yeah, what was the question?
What makes a good show, a compelling show?
Yeah, like clean audio, good editing, really good conversation. Like asking the question, especially if it's an interview show, because like again, this depends on like the style of it. If it's an interview show, ask the hard questions. Like ask the questions that if somebody was listening, they would want to know. And don't make it about you. So I recently was, how can I say this? Okay. I recently was listening to an episode of a podcast and I was so excited about what the topic was. I had no idea the guest, but I loved the topic, right? And so I was like waiting for certain things to be talked about. I personally felt like the host was so interested in how that person was going to speak into them or to speak about who they are or speak about how what that topic was relevant to them, that I left the conversation disappointed because I'm like, you didn't think about your audience. You thought about you.
Right.
And when that happens, that makes your listener, whether they were a fan of yours or not, it makes them feel like you're selfish and that you're not doing this for everyone else, but it's all about you. And when you do that, it turns people off. And they may never listen to your show again. Yeah.
That's why I stopped listening to T.I. podcast that he had, because he had an episode of Master P. Master P is the OG of OGs. He would not let this man talk. Like, he just kept interjecting, had a story for a story, and it's like, bro, who's doing the interview?
Yeah, like, what you got them here for?
Exactly.
You know, And yeah, I was very disappointed in that interview. But it's being mindful that none of what you're doing is about you. Mm-hmm. And when you can take a seat back and allow your guests to really show what they know, because that's why you got them there. Mm-hmm. It's not to compete with them. It's not to be like, oh, well, I've done this, and well, when I did that, this is what yes, you can add to the conversation, but as a host, your job is to let the other person shine. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of people who don't have that ability to take that seat back and not be the focal point of what their podcast is.
Right.
Those are the people who don't need a podcast.
We revoking all podcasts. Well, not all, but we revoking some podcasts. We need a podcast like overseer committee. Yeah. Podcast overseer committee. Yes. To take away some microphones.
Yes, absolutely.
So you mentioned asking the hard-hitting questions, and one I almost forgot to ask, but maybe asking a more direct way, was for 2026, how can podcasters get to the bag? And I know that that's part of what Alive is based on, providing some opportunities to monetize, but overall, how can we get to the bag in 2026?
Be consistent. Think outside the box. When it comes to podcasting, I think everybody's doing the same thing. Mm. That's just my opinion. I think we've done a really good job of thinking outside of the box, even like with our creators that are part of the network. And we help creators who are not part of our network as well. Like they can sign up for consultations and things like that. But I'll give y'all this one. When you think about your show and you think about who your show is for, right? Actually, I'm gonna use you as an example.
Yep.
Right. So with your show highlights business owners, minorities, their journey, right? Going to organizations that support that demographic and being able to say, have you guys considered starting a podcast? I would love to highlight the different business owners that you're supporting. And I'll bring this back to something that I did. Because we were a Techstars portfolio company backed by JP Morgan, mm-hmm. I created my own proposal that I submitted to investment groups that make investments in minority businesses and said, hey, instead, like, I would love to create a podcast highlighting your different portfolio companies, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And what came back was, we love this idea, but can you do our annual report for our investor groups? Mm-hmm. And so I said, sure. So what they did was, for their LPs, instead of them giving a written report about all of the businesses that they were supporting, I created a podcast for all of their LPs.
Come on now. Come on now.
That is thinking outside of the box. Mm-hmm. That is taking what your skill set is, thinking about. And like I said, in my earlier thing, when I said these are all of my different buckets, I went through those buckets and said, okay, well, how can I tap into other groups? Because sometimes we limit our thinking for investors, like, how can I get money from you mm-hmm. to invest in my company? I don't want any more investors in that regard. But how can I get money from you to support what your goals are and what you have to complete? And that was one of the ways that we were successful in doing that. So it's taking what you do, flipping it, and looking at it from all different angles. Like this week, this is the week that I literally look at like everything like from afar mm-hmm. and say, these are all of the different pillars that we are tapped into. What are all of the ways that we can make money this year? Stop limiting yourself. Mm-hmm. Stop just looking at what your podcast is as a lead generator for your business or just to connect with a larger audience. Think bigger. Like going into this year, this is the year of like what you plan, what you've been working on. It's the year that all of those different things, if you are very strategic and you understand like this is what I am going to achieve this year, you will achieve it. Mm-hmm. Like I'm standing on that for anybody, which is why, and I'm the most like, I will tell you like, do this, do that. Like I will tell you, mm-hmm. I am not that person of like, oh, this is what I did and I'm not telling nobody. No, I will tell you, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think we need more people like that who are willing to say, you can't do what I do, mm-hmm. but in your lane, I want you to think about like, this is how I've garnered success. This is what I've done. How can you apply that to what it is that you're trying to do? Mm-hmm. We all can win. It's just we have to like stop looking at everybody as like competition. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people sometimes will ask in an interview like, oh, who's your competition? Me. I'm my competition.
Right.
We collaborate with Revolt. Mm-hmm. We've been on iHeart and they've said for Black content, like this is where you need to go. Even though Charlamagne just got what, $200 million contract?
Yep.
Like, I don't look at these people as my competitors. Mm-hmm. I look at them and say, okay, this is their lane that they've garnered success in. Mm-hmm. I can collaborate with you on different things that make sense, mm-hmm. but my audience ain't your audience, and that's okay.
Right.
But there's no reason to put anybody down. There's no reason to say, oh, well, they're better than me. No, because what I do, I'm really good at it, mm-hmm. and that's okay. So, yeah.
No, that was very powerful, and I resonate with that so much because you mentioned you see the deals that a Charlamagne was signed, a Joe Budden, a Joe Rogan, and I know I can't compete with them at my current stage, and also I don't have the name, the notoriety that they have, and also they've been doing this so much longer than me. So I know that that's not areas where I can compete, so that creativity does come into play because I look around the landscape of being in, okay, I'm primarily focused on Metro Detroit businesses. What can I do? What stories can I tell here? Or what organizations can I work with that are based here that are looking to either tap into my audience or reach a certain audience themselves? And then how can I take my skills to be able to work with them and find creative ways to do that? And I've been blessed to be able to do that this past year and probably maybe like the last year and a half with the brand and the platform. But you do have to be creative because there's no rules to it. It's like NIL. Like this game is wide open.
Yeah. And the only limitation that you have is the limitations that you put on yourself. And I think that, like, if we open our minds and you know how they say, like, think big? Mm-hmm. We hear it all the time, but we don't really do it. Like, we hear it and we're like, well, what's big? What's too big? And then don't dare tell somebody else what your big idea is. And they're like, oh, you're crazy. That then, like, deters us. Yeah. Right? I'm really big on, if it's your vision, if God gave it to you, it's for you. Everybody else isn't equipped to hold on to what that vision is. Everybody else doesn't have the foresight of how to do it, what to do to make it possible. They don't know. Mm. And so sometimes they really have your best interest at heart and they don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to be disappointed, but they are limited by their own experiences. Right. Right. And so sometimes you just have to write stuff, tuck it in a little notebook and say, okay, I'm going to keep coming back to this. This is what my goal is. Or you find your tribe that have just as big dreams and goals as you do. Mm-hmm. Like over this week of me being with my family, I'm always the one that like make everybody sit down and be like, okay, I want y'all to think about, we're not waiting until New Year's. We're not waiting to start these resolutions. Like we're going to sit down and I want you to write down 12 things, right? I think we did 13. And of those 12 things, like every month, like these are all things that are achievable. Mm-hmm. We got 12 months next year to make magic happen. But you can't create magic if you don't know what you're trying to create. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be intentional with what are the things that I want to see come to pass. This isn't like just the manifestation. This isn't just a New Year resolution. This is being intentional with how you are going to activate your skills, spend your time, and the people that you're surrounded by. Mm-hmm. Those are the key things that really impact what you're able to garner as it relates to success.
Facts. And speaking of which, what do you see on the horizon for podcasting in 2026 and beyond? What are some things that you have been able to identify as this is up next, or this is what we can expect in this industry?
TV. You know, even though earlier when I described what a podcast is, you have to be able to evolve with what people want. Regardless of what something started as, if that's not thriving, it's going to continue to evolve until it hits a threshold where it brings in the money that mainstream wants to see from it. Mm-hmm. Podcasting has not traditionally been that big hitter in regards to revenue that mainstream wants to see. So it's going to keep evolving. It's going to keep shifting. In my opinion, that next shift is going to be to CTV. So think Apple TV, Fire TV, like all of those different things, which is why this year Alive moved into those spaces. So outside of our proprietary technology, we are also already on Apple TV, Fire TV, Roku, and now Samsung TV. We just closed that deal about a week ago. So I think we're going to see more large shows starting out. Like I think I saw something like Conan O'Brien. He's going to have a show on one of them or something. But we're going to see the larger mainstream platforms playing with that on those platforms from the podcasting perspective. And then, of course, everything else will follow, which goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think we're always last to the party, which is why I want it Alive to be the first to the party. And so right now, I think it's a wide open opportunity for us to start thinking about content creation on a bigger screen. And what does that look like? Be the first to be able to say, okay, advertisers, here's another opportunity. We're here and we're here. And these are all different ways to really tap into larger audiences to get your messaging out.
For sure. And so what's next for Angel? What do you have on the horizon for you, for Alive? What do you see in your crystal ball that you can share with us?
So I'm excited because next year is my the precursor to our 5-year anniversary. So next year will be our 4-year anniversary in February, and we'll be launching something called Alive and Well, where we'll be tapping into like wellness, highlighting different companies that really help you with your wellness journey. One person, like one of our investors said, oh, it's kind of like Oprah's favorite things, but like on a very streamlined trajectory, I guess you could say. So that we're like really excited about having like a whole portal of like wellness content. One of our recent organizations that we partner with is CHC, Creating Healthier Communities, which is like one of the oldest like wellness organizations. And so a lot of people don't know about them, but now they're going to have their content streaming on our television side of the network. So we're excited about that. And again, like I think like just expanding out our CTV side on the platforms that we now have our network as part of.
Very dope. And I'm looking forward to being able to stream and tap in. And do you have to have like a membership in order to see Alive on the streaming channels or?
Nope. So right now we have it open where you can just download a live podcast on either of those devices. So Apple TV, Fire TV, Roku, or Samsung TV. And then same thing with our app. Like you can download it on iOS or Android and you can listen. We have like a guest membership where it's free. But of course, like our goal is, I don't think I talked about this. So one of the ways that we help our content creators monetize is anytime you download the app and you become a paid member, 50% of your monthly subscription fee goes to whatever show is the reason that you're joining the network. So it's not just like, oh, you're joining just for ad-free listening. That's one of the perks. But you're also able to pour into creatives that are making content that makes a difference.
Fire. And so it's great to see all the work that you've been doing. I know we got connected via LinkedIn and great to be able to, like I said, sneak this interview in earlier and then have you in person and pick your mind because like, you know, I do love the media space and podcasting and I studied it in undergrad as well. So definitely I got love of the game. So, to use my terminology. So it's great to talk to someone who has a similar mindset and then also who has done it at such a high level and continuing to provide opportunities for creators like myself and other people out there.
Yes, no, thank you. And I love one of the questions that you had asked me when we were speaking on an earlier call and you were like, so do you have another show that's going to be coming soon?
Yeah, when you come back to the game, when you getting back on the court.
It's coming, like definitely. So one of the things that I have those glasses for, I want to create a show from that lens.
Okay.
Like where it'll be kind of like just kind of focused on the creative or whoever I'm interviewing And I want to try something new.
Yeah.
Like, so it's coming.
All right, I got the Meta glasses, so if you back home anytime soon, let me know, and then we can do a the first Meta interview, podcast interview. Yeah,
that'd be dope. Yes, I love it, and thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
Absolutely, thank you for pulling up again, and everybody listening, watching. We're gonna tap in with y'all soon. Peace.